The intelligence office has no indication of the kind of disaster which overtook the squadron except certain evidences of explosive phenomena similar to those in the case of GK984, which recently went dead while beaming the valley in a systematic effort to wipe out the works and camps of the tribesmen. The office considers as obvious the deduction that the tribesmen have developed a new and as yet undetermined technique of attack on airships and has recommended to the Heavenborn that immediate and unlimited authority be given to the Navigation Intelligence Division to make an investigation of this technique and develop a defense against it. In the meantime, it urges the private navigators avoid this territory in particular and in general hold as closely as possible to the official intercity routes, which now are being patrolled by the entire force of the military office, which is beaming the routes generously to a width of 10 miles. The military office reports that it is at present considering no retaliatory raids against the tribesmen with the Navigation Intelligence Division. It holds that unless further evidence of the nature of the disaster is developed in the near future, that the public interest will be better served and at smaller cost of life by scientific research than by attempts at retaliation, which may bring destruction on all ships engaging therein. So, unless further evidence actually is developed or the heaven-born orders to the contrary, the military will hold to a defensive policy. Unofficial intimations from Lotan are to the effect that the Heaven Council has the matter under consideration. The Navigation Intelligence Office permits the broadcast of the following condensation of its detailed observations. The squadron proceeded to a position above the Wyoming Valley where the wreck of the GK984 was known to be from the record of its location finder before it went dead recently. There, the bottom projectoscope relays of all ships registered the wreck of the GK984. Teleprojectoscope views of the wreck and the bowl of the valley showed no evidence of the presence of tribesmen. Neither ship registers nor base registers showed any indication of electroactivity except from the squadron itself on orders from the base squadron commander. The LD-248, LK-745, and LG-25 scouted southward at 3,000 feet. The GK-43, GK-981, and GK-220 stood above at 2,500 feet, and the GK-18 landed to permit personal inspection of the wreck by the science committee. The party debarked, leaving one man on board in the control cabin. He set all projectoscopes at universal focus except RB3. This meant the third projectoscope from the bow of the ship on the right-hand side of the lower deck, with which he followed the landing group as it walked round the wreck. The first abnormal phenomenon recorded by any of the instruments at base was the relayed automatically from projectoscope RB4 of the GK-18, which, as the party disappeared from view in back of the wreck, recorded two green missiles of roughly cylindrical shape projected from the wreckage into the landing compartment of the ship. At such close range, these were not clearly defined owing to the universal focus at which the projectoscope was set. The base captain of GK-18 at once ordered the man in the control room to investigate and saw him leave the control room in compliance with this order. An instant later, confused sounds reached the control room electrophone, such as might be made from a man falling heavily, and footsteps reapproached the control room, a figure entering and leaving the control room hurriedly. The base captain now believes, and the stills of the photo record support his belief, that this was not the crew member who had been left in the control room before the base captain could speak to him. He left the room, nor was any response given to the attention signal the captain flashed throughout the ship. At this point, the projectoscope RB3 of the ship, now out of focus control, dimly showed the landing party walking back toward the ship. RB4 showed it more clearly. Then on both these instruments, a number of blinding explosives in rapid succession were seen, and the electrophone relays registered terrific concussions. The ship's electronic apparatus and projectoscopes apparatus went dead. Of the three ships scouting to the south, the LD-248 suffered an identical fate. At the same moment, its record add little to the knowledge of the disaster, but with the LK-745 and the LG-25 it was different. The relay instruments of the LK-745 indicated the destruction by an explosion of the rear rep ray generator and that the ship hung stern down for a short space, swinging like a pendulum. The forward viewplates and indicators did not cease functioning, but their records are chaotic except for one projectoscope still, which shows the bowl of the valley, and the GK981 falling, but no visible evidence of tribesmen. The control room viewplate is also a chaotic record of the ship's crew tumbling and falling to the rear wall. Then the forward rep ray generator exploded and all signals went dead. The fate of the LG-25 was somewhat similar, except that this ship hung nose down and drifted on the wind southward as it slowly descended out of control. As its control room was shattered, verbal report from its action captain was precluded. The record of the interior rear viewplate shows members of the crew climbing toward the rear rep ray generator in an attempt to establish manual control of it and increase the lift. The projectoscope relays swinging in wide arcs recorded little of value except at the ends of their swings. One of these, from a machine which happened to be set in telescopic focus, shows several views of great value in picturing the falls of the other ships, and all of the rear projectoscope's records enable the reconstruction in detail of the pendulum and torsional movements of the ship and its sag toward the earth, but none of the views showing the forest below contain any indication of tribesmen's presence. A final explosion put the ship out of commission at a height of 1,000 feet and at a point of 4 miles by south by east of the center of the valley. The message ended with a repetition of the warning to other airmen to avoid the valley.